Hello there, another episode of Boise's Bricks and Bits, and today I shall be looking at and reviewing the UCS AT AT that has recently been released in November 2021. It was a little bit after my birthday, but this was what I was aiming for. It was kind of like get whatever funds I could get together and pretty much pick this up. You know, it's set number 75313. It is now retailing at full price £699.99, and that's in the UK. Even that, in America it's roughly around that $800 mark, I think. And initially Lego was selling it in the UK for $749.99, but it was about $750 regardless. And that took the P a little bit, considering when you think about exchange rate, $800 to pound is probably about 600 to 650-ish between that, maybe a bit less. But because even the Millennium Falcon 650, and it's kind of like, well, how can this be 750? I know people like to go by piece counts and all that type of stuff. Sometimes it doesn't work that way, depending on what's used. And I have to say, how this was built, especially from the legs, the techniques that were involved, the gearing, just how it all adjusts, I think it's pretty cool. And those pieces are probably going to be more expensive than your sort of one by one brick or something or another. So you can't always go by the piece count, I reckon. But so in the UK released 700. I got it a bit cheaper because I had some points for Lego anyway. And I was very pleased to get the Luke Skywalker's lightsaber, which again, I'm going to do a separate review for this because I think it's it's a pucker model. I got the Yoda one from previous, but this one is just, I don't know, it's one of the lightsabers that I would love to have in my collection. Like lightsaber, dueling one, whatever you want to call. But yeah, so this is a conversation, or this is a video for a later. But today I'm focusing on this, and I am going to initially look at the box. I don't always look at boxes, but I do like this new design. But when it comes to the UCS, just how they sort of open up, and it's kind of like compartmented into various parts of the build, and you just follow it through, and that just like any other build. But it's just nice to detail and how it kind of comes together. And what I really liked about this one as well is like 4 boxes, and in each box you had the individual instructions. So rather than a big massive thick booklet that you need to sort of like constantly like careful and fold it over and stuff, it was like in small packages, bite-sized sort of booklet type thing. So you kind of like do one section and the next, and it sort of shows you on the box. I'm going to show you right now. Let's have a look at that. Okay, so looking at the box, yes, it is a box, but I just loved it. You know what? Again, the UCS sets just do it for me, and like I said, that's just how they open up and you kind of progress through the build. It's just organized in such a way, and just the graphics and the pictures and what you read, and it's just, I don't know, this is like the full package, especially when you're looking at this UCS type stuff. And straight away, now on the top you don't see the top as such. On the top you're literally going to get it just kind of shows you the troopers, command, all the bits and pieces, the Luke Skywalker, and again it's got the kind of head of the AT AT. But the rest of the box, as far as what you follow, is generally, it's got the from this side you see it from the side, you've got it from the front, you see it from the other side, plus it sort of shows you some scenes from Empire Strikes Back, as well as some of the functions it may have, what it does, the doors that open, the movement of the head, which is quite cool, and how you adjust the legs, I think is pretty decent. There you got the butt end of it as such, and once again back to the front of the box. So a box is a box, but it's when you start getting into it and just seeing it's just cool little graphs, as you kind of get in. There's like the targeting system on the front, on the top bit when you first open the box, and then I suppose it depends on which side of the box you kind of generally open it up from. So, and this is where if you open it the other side, you're going to get a different picture as such. I'm pretty sure it's different from the bottom. Oh, it might actually be repeated the same. No, it is actually repeated the same picture. But once you open it up, and this is what I'm talking about. So this is box 1. So once you get into the actual magazine of it, sorry, the instruction book, it's kind of showing you in this first section that it's which bit you're particularly building. But then especially with the UCS sets of this type, you know, it starts kind of giving you more information regarding the AT AT, you know, the designer, and I love that. You know, it kind of like, it just, that whole stop, just stop for a minute, you know, rather than just dive into the box. You know, for me it wasn't dive into the box, for me it was actually just stop and have a little look and just appreciate what's actually going on with this build. And then, you know, then it starts going into, and just even how to pick it up. It really is as simple as, I mean, it's weighty, but it is just pick it up as, you know, one hand. I just lift it up by one hand in the middle of it all. It takes the whole weight. It does hold itself well from that point. A couple of little bits always fall off now and again, but generally that is it. And it shows you how to kind of like adjust the legs to where they should sort of roughly be, in a sense. And then goes into the build, you know. I mean, even though it says like bag 1, bag 2, bag 3, it's a lie. I mean, there's a lot of bags. You know, it's yeah. If it says there's 4 sections, there's probably going to be about 3, 4, 5 bags per section, and it really does kind of escalate that way. But you know, it doesn't matter. It all runs very well. The build comes together very nicely. A bit repetitive, I have to say, on certain parts, and I think that's where I made a mistake. A mistake that could have been costly, but I found a solution. I found quite a simple solution, which I'll talk about in a bit. So again, I think the main reason I really wanted to get this video done as well is because I want to pack this box away. It's just so huge, and I keep moving it everywhere. It's not, you know, it's not the smallest packaging about, and I kind of want to get it up in the loft out the way. So I thought, let me get this done. So yeah, you know, again, it's just the whole experience of building this, just opening it up, going through the detail, reading, building, pucker, absolutely pucker. Anyway, let's get to the AT-AT. So before getting into the details of the UCS set, this is a comparison, as you can see, and this is the set that was recently also released not too long ago, set number 75288, and is $139.99 if you was to buy direct from Lego. Now, I have seen this play set go for cheaper. I've even purchased another one for cheaper, which was a very good price, so good, but I could not let go. It didn't matter when if I ever sold that on. It's always going to make money because of the price that I kind of got it for. But you know, it's a good little set. It really is, and I'm going to take this one apart now because I do need this. I need to move things around because you can see where the Millennium is in the background, and I think I want the AT-AT where the X-Wing is, and I think the X-Wing is going to get bumped to where the mini AT-AT was. So it's that whole thing about I'm going to have to move things around just to sort of display this, and I think it'll look quite cool there in the background. I may even move it to the front room at a later date so it's underneath the Star Destroyer, because that's kind of where I've got that. I would say that was a previous video to show you where that is, but I think the timeline has all kind of gone out a bit because I've recorded other videos, just haven't edited and put them out. So this is, you know, this video is coming out. I feel like it's a bit hot now. Let's get it out, let's look at it, let's review it, let's talk about it. So there's a comparison in size. You can see there's a considerable difference. I mean, don't get me wrong, if you don't have the space, then the little AT-AT is pretty cool, you know, but if you do have the space and you know, willing to sell a kidney, then yes, the UCS set version is pretty damn good. Now, there is another version as well. They recently, was it the ATM6, I think it was, from The Last Jedi. I have to say that is a beast, and the size comparison compared to an AT-AT would just dominate it, and you never know, would that be the set that reaches the £1,000 mark? I mean, God blimey. I mean, yeah, I mean, if you're talking £1,000, what's that in dollars? What's that, like $1,200, $1,300? I don't know, but you know, as far as the English pound, there's got to be a set that at some point, the way this is going up in price, at some point it's going to reach the £1,000 mark. Now, either it's going to be another Death Star model, which I'd expect to be absolutely huge, or who knows, it could be something like the ATM6, which I'm pretty sure it's called the ATM6. This is just off the top of my head, but you know, that very much gorilla looking walker, like I said in The Last Jedi. But yeah, here's the size comparison. You can see the difference. So space wise, if you don't have the room, get this. If you do have the room, get this. Okay, let's clear this up and let's take a look at the UCS. Look at her, ain't she a beaut? Again, do you know what, when I actually look at the AT AT from the film and then I look at this model, it's just so well made. I really appreciate having this. I feel privileged to be able to have this, and I mean, again, the price is ridiculous. You know, as mentioned earlier, you may need to sell a kidney or something to buy it, but you know, it's a fantastic model. It really is. But before I get to too much of the detail, let me just show this. And this is quite cool as well, because as much that you got the information around the plaque, you know, your typical UCS type thing, the actual tool to adjust just sits nicely at the back there, which is, you know, it's nice that that's been built in just so you can keep this in a safe place. And basically there's 4 points there. Well, 2 points, sorry, I say 4 points, there's 8 points, but there's 2 points on each leg. One there, and that's the same for every leg. Just inside you can see almost like a little brown Technic bit coming out, and the key just literally pops in and you just turn either way and it adjusts it in or out. And yeah, I think it's really good. And you know, it's quite strangely, it works. It's sturdy, it's not falling over, it's not falling down. It's, you know, even underneath the feet, it's got like almost like a rubber grippy bit in the middle, which again just helps that from slipping in a sense. But no, it's decent. It really is. I'm quite impressed with it all. Now, earlier on in the video, I kind of spoke about the repetitiveness of certain parts. Now, when you look at the legs, yes, I think I can't remember, was it these two get built together and these two get built together, and then I think as far as the bottom bit, it all just gets built, you know, it's 4 exactly the same. Now, when I'm sort of got the telly on the background, kind of not fully focusing on what I'm doing, plus I'm trying to repeat the same process together, you know, 4 times or 2 times or whatever, I might miss the tiniest little detail. And in this, I did miss the tiniest little detail. There is a section within this part of the legs that if you were to build it wrong, it looks like potentially you can never take it apart again. It's just one of those pieces that you kind of think, why would Lego do this? I can kind of understand, because it might be that they never want it to ever slide out, because, you know, with movement and that, let's say the piece came undone, and then suddenly the whole model collapses because it really relied on that part to be fixed. So I can see why possibly it was done in that way, but also I think I've seen a lot on the sort of networks and groups and stuff that I belong to, that everyone was in a bit of a pickle as such, as in like, what the heck do we do with this? Once you put it together, you can never undo it. This is not true. I think it took me about the first, because what I've done was I built 2 the right way, and when I built the second 2, as I got to a certain part of the build, I realized it wasn't coming together, and I thought to myself, what's going on? And then realized that I put them in like particular parts in the wrong way, and I had to get them out and turn them, and I thought, and I was kind of very mindful and aware of what job I had in ahead of me. You know, is it a case of, do I need to order new bits completely to just kind of like wait for them to come and redo it? But I thought, nah, it can't be that hard. Honestly, the first one, here's a little clip of basically what I'd done, but the first one, I got out in seconds, and I think there was like no damage whatsoever. The second one, I think there was a tiny little mark, and like here we go. Let me show you what I've done. So you can see that I literally just got a very fine, small flathead screwdriver in through that little gap of that that sort of round cylinder piece, and just slightly nudged it. Just pinched it a bit with it, bit of pressure down to the side, and it came out enough for me to pinch with the nails. It was quite simple. So I thought this whole, you know, everyone was making such a hoo-ha, oh, this is going to be impossible to get out. It was kind of like I said, the first one I'd done, I thought, oh, that was easy. I better record and show how I done this, you know, just in case somebody else. I swear Lego released something about you got to knock it this way, and I almost feel like that's that whole inertia thing. You got to kind of hit it this way and the piece comes out backwards, but you know, that's not needed. Honestly, you can just like literally get a little screwdriver or something small in there, boom, nudge it out a bit and then pull it straight out the back, just like I just showed there. So yeah, thank God for that. Anyway, let's get to some more of the detail in here. Now I think a good bit to start, because I'm going to need to get inside for the head movement anyway, is just this panel. Now the panel is the same on the other side, so you can kind of store, you got plenty of seatage and storage for many troopers inside, but I find if I just remove the top bit, and again it's just panels, kind of like like the Millennium Falcon, you know, with the interior, I find just nudge that out gently and out it comes. And even this in itself, I think, you know, you could still have it on, and this has got quite a good mechanism, as in like it just, oh man, whew, I thought I was going to be worse than what it was. Do you know what, I've just put the panel back together. It really was a few pieces, but you forget, well I forget that, you know, it's only held by a couple of sort of clippy bits, in a sense that, you know, it's flimsy, you know. As much that this has got a lot of playability, it shouldn't be played with too much. But just going back to the door, and like I said, the panel was actually relatively easy to put back together. You know, it didn't completely shatter apart everywhere, although it did fall a few foot. But yeah, so this door just kind of opens up like so. You can see in there, it is a decent mechanism. I think it's just when you're sort of swinging it around, trying to kind of show it that way, it doesn't work. But anyway, disaster avoided. So once again, let's take this off as a whole. So there we go. And again, you know, like I said, you can see the mechanism on the inside there. It's simple, but it's neat and it works very well. So there's a lot of, like, again, a lot of seats, and this goes both sides, that you can kind of have men in there, stormtroopers, sand troopers, whatever you want to call them, commanders. You've got a little gun that sort of, I'll just tuck away in there as such. You've got a couple of speeders, which, do you know what, they're cool little speeders. Again, if you're talking about for detail, yeah, I think they're pretty awesome. Again, I mean, this is where it has that playability part of it, but then even like the Millennium Falcon has lots of playability, but you don't want to be picking it up and flying it around. Just bits are going to kind of start falling off of it, and it's like, that's not good. And yeah, for sure, I'm going to certainly have Luke just kind of, you know, hanging down below, as you could see on the bigger picture. You know, he's obviously on a bit of string that attaches to the bottom of it, as to replicate in the scene when he's going up there to cut a hole, throw the grenade in there and kind of like blow it up. But yeah, so you know, you can kind of see in there. Now this is it's interesting because this panel comes away as well. Although it's weird because these canisters, they kind of, there's a lot of detailing inside this, but they don't really do anything. Once the Technics all gets built over it, nothing, you know, it's all held together, so nothing really moves as much. I know some of the panel in here, if you was to press it from underneath too much, it will just pop up and it's quite hard to get back down again. So once again, it's not worth messing around too much around that. But something I did want to look at, and we'll kind of focus it on that, you know, when I get to the head part of it, is there is actually a mechanism here, which is quite cool, because this is the bit where you can actually turn the head as such, you know, depending on how you want to display. Now, not just that, I'm pretty sure you then, if you push it down, you lock it where it is as well, so it will stay. But we'll look at that when I get to the head part. But yeah, so you can see the interior. I think it's great that they incorporated into it. There was a few stickers, not many. If I just pop this off, there you go. So yeah, these ones are kind of like bigger. Just, I mean, initially I thought it was like that and that separate. No, but it is just one sticker that generally fits on, and that actually slides in such a way that it fits in very easily because of the Lego bits built below it. There wasn't too many others, you know, apart from the main UCS plaque, and I think there might have been some more interior ones within it, but not a lot. Oh, I think just behind the speeders there's a couple of single plane ones, but yeah, Not too many stickers, which I'm grateful for. The ones that were, they weren't too hard to put on or too complex as such. I know in one of the models, I think I've got the NASA Space Shuttle Discovery, and I know that's got a lot of shiny stickers that are quite a challenge to get all straight. So I'll have that challenge coming up at some point. So yeah, so there's a little bit of the interior, which I think is quite cool. Let's move to the head. So yeah, again, looking at the head, I think it's pretty decent how this whole mechanism kind of opens up, and you can kind of see your figures, your kind of drivers, and Veers, General Veers. Is it General Veers? I believe it's General Veers. He's kind of in there, just kind of like guiding the mission. And I think there was there some stickers inside this? I believe there was. Yes, there was one sticker, and it was more the scenery to where they were kind of aiming for. And the guns, I mean, there's no other way of moving them, but the fact that they do have that mechanical nature of, they do go backwards and forwards as such. I mean, it's a shame that they didn't get grey colour, I forget what these are called, but you got the blue, you can see the blue there clearly, and if they got kind of grey ones, it would have been so much better. Would have just taken away that bit, because it is quite a grey model. There's not a lot of colour on this, but again, the guns are pretty decent. I think these cannons are quite cool, just the way they kind of move and operate backwards and forwards. And then, as I was saying before, you've got this whole bit where you can turn the head and sort of direct where you want it. Now, if you lock it down as well, it goes to one side of the pins. That's what I call them normally. It goes to one side of the pin to kind of keep the head more facing the other way. And then if you lift it up over the pin again, it almost releases it and just allows you to turn the head to how you want it. That way, this way. I mean, I'm naturally going to have it facing more our way anyway, so I think this is the time to lock that in and leave it where it is, because I'm not going to mess around with that too much anymore. Again, I think, do you know what, the other the smaller one that I showed earlier, it had a little bit of a grommet look to it. I don't know, there's something about Wallace and Gromit in the face. I know people made comments about it, and it does have something a bit squinty in a sense. But this particular version, just this bigger build, the detail in it, I think is absolutely awesome. I think this build was absolutely monumental. I have no complaints about it whatsoever. I love how they done the feet. Let's come away from the head and come back. Let me come back to the bigger body. Oh yeah, as I said earlier, there's my little Lukey kind of hanging down. But yeah, I mean, listen, once I put this back together, once I get it where it's going to be, it will not be moved again. This is not to be played with. This is for display and display only, because every time a panel falls off and drops on the floor as before, I don't want to be having to put it back together. Just, luckily it's not that complicated, and there is another side you can kind of feed off, but some bits are slightly different. But again, it just all sits quite simply back in place. There is nothing really else to do with that. On goes the front section. Again, it just sits in place, and then this bit's even guided by the couple of pins, and that come down into the yellow bits on top. There we go. So that is all back together, and I can't see me undoing that again. I mean, once again, the detailing of this, I mean, I absolutely adore how the legs all come together, the mechanisms. It's sturdy, like I said, it doesn't, I mean, I'm not going to start punching it or anything, but it holds its weight. It's not collapsing in any way. I think it's just a monumental build. It really was a pleasure. I mean, some bits got a bit repetitive, but once you kind of get past that and it starts to really form, it's like, whoa. And then you don't realize that it is pretty much, well, it's bigger than a small dog. It's like a medium-sized dog as such. I don't own a dog, so this will be my dog. So yeah, I mean, it's not cheap, but it's worth it. If you're a serious collector or you're a serious builder, honestly, you get the money together for this bad boy. And not to mention, you know, come next year, probably on a Black Friday deal or May the 4th or at some point, you know, you often have, because I know when I bought the Millennium Falcon, I got that for something like 520. So that's a big chunk, you know. I think I had a good 20% off of that, and I'm sure you'll get the same with this at, you know, at some point, or save up those Lego points. Do you know what I mean? Kind of get a discount that way. But yeah, marvelous, absolutely love it. I'm going to start saving up because we're 1 week away from Christmas in 21, so I will start saving me pennies now, because who knows what they're going to bring out. Because like the Republic gunship, I never bought that. What's that, £350 worth of set? It wasn't for me. I kind of was waiting for this bigger set anyway, but can't buy everything, can't have everything, you know. Well, you can, but it's just gets to the point where it's just not feasible. You've got to kind of live within your means, and that'd be pushing me beyond. So yeah, I shall start saving up my pennies, because I feel like there's a couple of good sets coming out next year. But come September, October, November time, let's see what they're going to release, and let's see if it's something that I'm going to be interested in. But either way, yeah, there she is, UCS AT AT, the Imperial All-Terrain Armoured Transport. Absolutely fantastic model, highly recommended. If you like this vid, please like and subscribe. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you at the next vid, and I wish you all have a very good day.